Today is Monday, July 28th, 2025, and it is Yom Sheni, second day of the week, the third day of Av. Just entered the month of Av, of 5785, and the parsha of the week is Devarim. And this is the PL-89 gematriatic thought calendar, aka the planet Mercury, which is also connected to the chemical element Mercury for various reasons. Mercury, gematriatic quantum thought calendar. And this calendar is both a lunar and solar calendar, and it is a Julian calendar, and it is a Daf Yomi calendar. And it's based on the orbit of planet Mercury. And this amount of time is, you're looking at 80 boxes, and there's also another 10 days that are invisible. That's called a 10-day twilight period. So it's appropriate that you can't see it because it bears that same name, twilight. It's kind of like an intermediate phase, sort of transitional phase between every mercurial year, which is just a quarter for us. Mercury revolves around the sun, orbits the sun about 88 of our days, and so according to published data, and so there's about 4 of those in every one of our years. So we go through 4 Mercury years and 1 Earth year, and so this is also known as a Mercury year. So we just had a Rosh Hashanah, a new year, and we entered the realm of Av. Now there were different ways of splitting up the year with different groups of 3-month periods. The classic is just fall, winter, spring, summer, or spring, summer, fall, winter, however you want to say it. But these 3-month groupings are different based on the dispensation. And what that means in short is that there were times when it went beginning, middle, and end, and there were times when it went end, middle, beginning, and then there's another configuration, another grouping that it was middle, end, and then beginning. And that's where we find ourselves in right now. So when I say middle, I mean the fixed months as they're known in astrology, which means Av, or August, is fixed, and in the summer, and May/ER is fixed when it's in spring, and Shvat / February is fixed in the winter, and the fall would be November, Cheshvan/November. And so those fixed months is the middle of the season. Like we're like deep in the middle of the summer now. It's not the beginning of the summer. We've already had over a month of summer already, and maybe a month and a half by now, maybe a little less than that. But we're deep in the summer, so that's called a fixed month. So we're fixed. Av is fixed, and this last dispensation is where this is the Rosh Hashanah. This is the fixed place that we start each mercurial year, as it's called. And every day I share some findings about the gematriatic thought calendar. What is it meant for? It's meant to create and calculate thoughts from within thoughts ad infinitum, continuously creating thoughts in a fractal type fashion. If you know what fractals are, if you've seen some of those really cool fractal designs or fractal video images where it's kind of like a pattern gets created, sets forward, and then there's a slight variation, and then it creates some new variables are added into the patterns, and then more patterns are interweaving within these patterns, and then these patterns start to kind of harmonize with each other. I mean, it's kind of the best way to describe it, and just ad infinitum, just continuous. So it's basically a fractal, gematriatic fractal thought calendar, where each box takes you to a point and puts it in relation to other points that also are gematriatic in nature. And as we go through time, as we go through the seasons, the thoughts expand and build on each other. So that's a short way of describing what this calendar does. It's a gematriatic thought calendar. And today we just started, like I mentioned, we started the season, the year, or this time frame. So we're on box number 25. Okay, the third day of Av. This is the first day of Av, the second day of Av, the third day of Av. But since it's a lunar solar calendar, it's the same for August. So August 3rd will be the same as August as Av 3rd. Well, and when we get to August 3rd, which happens to be the only Tisha B'Av this year, I think, it's going to be here as well. So a few things I found out about this calendar. So we're on 25 today, and there's a principle in the PL-89 calendar that it's called the reality system. Basically, it's balancing the sun and the moon. The sun and the moon, like the midrashic legend, or it's a myth, but like it's a Hebrew midrashic analogy, but it's like a thing that's like not exactly literally true, but it's like an idea that the sun and the moon were at odds with each other because the moon was jealous of the sun. The sun gave out more light, so they always were sort of like a imbalance. So this makes a balance between the sun and the moon, because it says in the future the moon will gain her full light, whatever that means. So that's happening here, because let's just say today is the third day of Av, but let's not forget it's also the 28th day of July, and they're both important. One is the sun and one is the moon, and they both represent two different types of people and two different ways of thinking, and ways of thinking that might be on the surface at odds with each other. But as I said in a previous video, PL-89, the word 89, meaning the number 89, is a numerical value of the word unity. So if you the letter U is 21, and N is the 21st letter. So N is the 14th letter, I is the 9th letter, T is the 20th letter, and Y is the 25th letter. Add that together, you're going to find it's 89. So that's what it does. It takes the sun and the moon and brings unity to the sun and the moon. And I think that in my my birth chart, it would be very compatible that I actually end up doing this, because a lot of my planets, a good portion of my planets, the main ones like the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, they're all just basic two signs. It's just Leo and Cancer, Leo and Cancer, Leo and Cancer, which is really what this is: the sun and the moon, sun and the moon. And it's like the sun is in Cancer, Jupiter's in Cancer, Leo's the moon, Mercury's Leo, I think. Yeah, Mercury's Leo. Venus is Leo. So anyway, the point is that it's kind of interesting that I'm doing this thing about the sun and the moon, and a lot of my major planets are in that. But anyway, getting back to the point, today on the box is 25, and we're also in what we call T8. T8 is 10-day twilight 8, which means July 28th is the last 10 days of the ER, of the May year. The year that started on May 1st, or ER 1st, it would finish on Av 1 or August 1. Well, we're almost at August 1. So July 28th. And what's interesting is that today is box 25. What is 28 minus 3? 25. So it's interesting that today, although we've been here for 3 days already, 3 days, I didn't officially register it until today. The difference between the two. The difference, we're in a plus 25 reality, because 3 plus 25 is equal to 28, meaning 3, the moon number, And the sun numbers, the moon is Jewish in the Jewish calendar. So it's Av 3 plus 25 is 28. So that's exactly today, 25. But there's another connection that I've explained this in a previous video, and I probably will continue to explain this. That the way that you get every single number is these are only 40. It's only 1 through 40. You have it twice. So how do you have every single number until 5 trillion and more? Infinity, as high as you can go, is going to be found here, which is only in these numbers. How do you do it? You do it by the rule of 40. If you do the rule of 40, then you'll have just in this calendar ad infinitum. How? Because the rule of 40 says that when you are in any box, let's just say it only goes up to 40, and then it repeats again. So it's 40 and 40, which is 80. So how do you get 48 then? Very simple. This right here, 8, and you add 40 to it, it's considered the same number. So 8 equals 48 equals 88 equals 128 equals 2,028. Add 2,008, 2,000,000, 10,000,008. It's all the same. You just add 40. If you add 40 up until, so basically this box contains every single number that's on the line of 40. And that would be attributed to today's daf. The fact that I stated this rule today is connected to today's daf yomi daf, because today in daf yomi, on this day of the third day of Av and July 28th, it's Avodah Zarah, page 40. It's interesting. And so that's the rule. The rule of 40 tells you that if I want to have 208, I just go to this box. If I want to have 808, same box. Just add 40, and you'll be in that thing. So the reason I'm saying that rule is that we are in box 25 today. But what does 25 have to do with this week's parsha? Well, today on Monday and Thursday they read the Torah, and in this week's parsha in Devarim, there are 105 verses. But 105 is 25 in this calendar. So that's really interesting that I noticed that today. I thought about it today, and it's box 25, and it's 105 verses in Parshat Devarim. Why? Because 105 minus 40 is 65. 65 minus 40 is 25. So if I want to get 105, I just go to this box, this 25, or I could go to the other 20. There's another 25 here. Here. Generally speaking, there's two. You have in both hemispheres. There's two 40-day. I call them months. So usually you have 25 in 1 month in this northern hemisphere, and you have it in the southern hemisphere, the upper and the lower, first and second, however you want to call it. So you have 25 here, and you have 25 here. But some numbers are only in one hemisphere. Like, for example, 14. You'll find it's only in the bottom. And of course, it's probably a simple arithmetic reason, but it's interesting if you understand the meaning of numbers, why it would work out that way. And arithmetic would tell you, if you're adding 8 plus 9 plus 8 plus 9, then everything's gonna come out a certain way. But if someone understands, and that's also the point of this, is to understand what every number means. If you would say that the 14s are both in this lower hemisphere, that means something because 14 is there. Because 14, and the same is true with 17. 17 is only in the first half, and not in the second half. So what's interesting is that the 17th day of the month in this configuration came out on box 14. I mean, again, these are all just simple arithmetic rules, but the reason why I understood to make the sequence like this is something that I didn't think about. It comes from the Torah itself, but I didn't think about how to design it that way. I took it from a verse in the Bible, in the book of Leviticus, chapter 25, verse 20, about the sabbatical year. It talks about the 8th and 9th year. So it's 8 and 9. That's what this is based on.